It's been 5 months since these two pro gamers faced off against each other. Now that's interesting because at the very beginning of the year and for most of last year, they played against each other every single week over and over and over again. Spawning right here in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, playing with the red Protoss probes, we have none other than Hero. His opponent and rival playing with the blue Zerg drones, he goes by the name of Dark. Dark going up against Hero. I mean, this is one of my personal favorite rivalries, and they really did play against each other a ton over the last couple of years. But for some reason, ever since they played in the GSO Codes, that was back in June, they have not played against each other a single time. They've both been playing in a lot of tournaments, especially Dark. I mean, Dark took a tiny little bit of a break, I guess. Hero not quite signing up for literally everything, but Hero also plays in the majority of the online cups. For some reason, they haven't been playing against each other nearly as frequently over the last half year or so as they have over the last couple of years on the whole. Now, this particular series is the finals of the most recent Korean StarCraft League. So, they used to play in every single grand finals against each other. I guess now they're back once more. It is important to note that a lot of the commentary and a lot of the casts that I've done as of late are played on the new multiplayer balance patch. They're played on the PTR. That's where a lot of tournaments are currently taking place. But over the last week and a half or so, most of the tournaments have started shifting back to the current live version of the game instead. Home Story Cup is coming up. I'm not exactly sure whether or not there's like any announcements as far as like the patch that they will be running goes. I guess they'll probably go for the live version of the game. It's in a couple weeks from now, so I guess there is a chance that the new patch could be live by then. But anyways, it seems like we are, once more back to seeing a lot of the current patch. Meaning that we could potentially see like Ultralisk derping out against each other. We might potentially see a mama ship getting abducted. We may see a shield battery overcharge, just for old time's sake. I guess a lot of tournament organizers are also not entirely sure which version of the game they should be running. But ultimately, I mean, it's kind of fun, right? We've been seeing a lot of the new patch games, a lot of the new maps. Now we get to, mix it up just a little bit. And at the very least, it creates a little bit more variety. Now, I'm assuming, though, that most of the builds are going to be mostly the same. It'll be a Stargate opener here for Hero. Dark going for the good old, hiding the Zerglings in the tall grass strat, then running them back. Just seeing whether or not there would be an early game unit coming across. The Adept is on its way now. Probe was no longer hiding on the other side of the map. This should be just a good old triple Oracle opener here for the Protoss player. Could be 1, could be 2, but usually it's 3. Could be 4, could be 5. What do I know? Counting with Lowko. I knew I was educational. You're welcome. Abducting a mama ship. Yeah. For some reason, this has been okay in StarCraft 2 since 15 or so? Since the Viper got introduced. Abducting mamas has been... In StarCraft land, there have been a lot of Protoss players bothered by that, but everybody else has closed their eyes. Now with the new upcoming patch, though, she will finally be unabductable. And that's going to be worth something, too. We have a single Oracle. No second Oracle started yet. It's because Hero hit a bit of a supply block. Tiny little supply block. Not the end of the world, but obviously a little bit sloppy. He is already on its way, though. Yeah, right over here to the third Nexus location. We should see a pylon right over here, too. A little bit of space for this Stalker to stand on hold position and to allow a bit of protection for that base. Okay, 2 workers, 3 workers. Not bad for a first little swoop in. Yeah, 1 Zergling must have been part of its kill list as well. 2 Zerglings in total right now going down, together with 3 drones. Oracle number 3 indeed is on the production tab, and generally speaking, Twilight Council together with a Forge. Although apparently Hero has decided to go for a Forge first. So we'll have to keep an eye out on whether or not he decides to mix it up a little bit. Now that those Oracles are out, it's quite difficult for Zerg to really get any sort of scouting information. So if Hero is cooking up something special, it will probably be based off of... Nope, it's going to be a Twilight Council on the back of this too. Interesting that he decided to go for the Forge first. Generally speaking, Protoss would go for the Twilight first and then eventually the Forge. If they have to delay one of the two. Okay. A little bit of creep clearing. A little bit of damage done. Ultimately, this is about a 445, 440 or so lair here for Dark. And he's actually building it over at the third base. This is one of the questions I've actually had many, many times over the years. Because your gut instinct as a StarCraft player is to build your lair and your high-tech structures inside of the main. Because that is ultimately the most important bit of tech that you have, right? Well, the reason is a lair has more hit points than a hatchery does. And if you end up losing your lair, if you end up losing your third base, it's game over pretty much anyways. So there are some niche situations where having your main base be the lair, right? Like the main structure, where it would be a little bit better across the board. But generally speaking in StarCraft 2, it doesn't really matter that much. If you end up losing your third base, in the vast majority of the games, having that extra HP actually outweighs the potential of losing it later on into the game. Hydra Tank coming up. Very late Roach Warren, actually. I think Dark could have gotten that a little bit earlier, but he decided to cut it until just now, prioritizing some additional drone production instead. We should see a fourth base. Yeah, he's actually just powered out straight 66 workers here. Oh. Dark's got a lot of money in the bank. I almost wonder if this is a fake. Because he could have started that up a while ago. Yeah, I wonder actually if he faked the fourth base. He is going to be starting it up here eventually. He's had money for it for a little while. I've got a feeling he's not planning on building this anytime soon. Or at the very least, not saturating it anytime soon. Maybe send over some of the drones from the main base. But maybe he wants to commit to just a good old Hydra push. That seems to be where we're headed. +1 missile here, together with the Hydra ranged. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, by the way, we do have a Robo Bay right now, followed by the Blink. Or the Blink, rather, is followed here by the Robo Bay. +2, started up as well. But ultimately, both of these players are really just making a whole lot of stuff. Now, Hero has scouted. Oh, should not have committed to that shade. Hero has scouted at this point that it is going to be Hydra Ling. And usually, Hydra Ling transitions towards Hydra Ling Bane. And Colossi are absolutely amazing against that type of unit composition. Roach is now following this up as well, though. So this is basically Dark just rushing up full 3-base saturation. And now he's just holding down the unit producing button. He's just going mass Roach, mass Hydra, mass Zergling, whatever he can afford. And it looks to me like he wants to go for an attack as soon as the upgrades are done. This is one of those... So, this is one of those attacks that has technically been countered many times by Protoss. It's one of those pushes that Protoss has managed to counter a gajillion times. But these days, it's very unpopular. We don't really see a 3-base, essentially an all-in, like a 3-base push. Usually Zerg players, when they're playing a macro game, will go up towards 4-base saturation. They will use Gas Geyser 7 and 8 for, well, a whole lot of gas income and then to go into lurkers. This is just Roach Hydra. This is what players used to do back in 2010 when StarCraft 2 first came out. Oh, Stalkers, need to be careful. A little bit of a wraparound here. They do indeed have that Blink upgrade available, so they will be able to run away. Good stasis ward dodging. This is, of course, that Nova that is still capable of one-shotting roaches, so you have to be a little bit careful. But this fourth base is very risky right now. Those disruptors are actually absolutely critical. We're bowling. Only one roach goes down. Another Nova will be available right now, coming in from the left. Roach Hydra over here on the right, though. An aggressive Blink into the Hydralisks seems like a dangerous play, and he does indeed not get rewarded for that Blink. Loses a lot of Stalkers. Shield battery overcharge, though, coming in clutch. Enjoy it while it lasts. Baneling's on the back of this, too. Nice dodge by Dark, trying to, okay, mitigate a lot of that splash damage. But ultimately, it looks like Hero will be able to shut this down. Why are we blinking in, Hero? Why did we blink twice into the Hydras and the Zerglings? Makes very little sense. All of the Stalkers were capable of firing, and now suddenly here Dark is saying, yo, maybe I can actually get this done. Okay, good dodging. Yeah, blinking into melee units is, it's one of the plays of all time. Generally speaking, it means that you're, well, not gonna benefit from having the ranged, but anyway, so far, reasonable trades here for Protoss. And obviously, his economy is mostly unaffected, right? I don't think he's lost one probe throughout this entire game, so he hasn't lost any workers to that particular attack. The disruptor count is still growing. We're going basically for like a Protoss versus Protoss unit composition here, man. We're just going Stalkers and Disruptors. I don't love it. I mean, it kind of works if your opponent doesn't go like mass Zergling. I love this. Yes, Dark decides to follow up the +2 missile with the melee upgrade. Zerglings, especially with Adrenal Glands, Ling Bane, absolutely tears this type of army apart. Like, you can go into, like, for example, Vipers and abduct the Disruptors one at a time, but Mass Zergling is also a very viable choice. Charge upgrade also relatively late here. That should have been started up a long time ago. And it means that this attack is mostly just going to be Stalkers. Oh man, Hero, you decide to go onto Creep? I find that a very dangerous play. Losing that Prism could be the end of the match. Zerg is now coming in from every single side, and that means that those Novas are going to be easily dodged. Except for Brenda over there. Prism, in the meantime, has been destroyed by those Hydras coming in from the back. You know what's even better than a concave? A circle. Yeah, the circle is Dark's favorite geometrical shape. And I find some of these decisions here of Hero very curious. The aggressive blink-ins, and then the deep movement into Creep. It would have worked against me, because I am very likely to only attack from this ramp right, or from this ramp right over here, and then this choke point right over here. But Dark already saw that coming in, and that unit's, well, coming in from every single side. Managed to decimate that Protoss army. Okay. Stalkers. Moving a little deep. Colossi now also available, but Roach is actually quite a good target. Here come the Banelings. They're rolling in. Reasonable force field there to try and keep this alive, but Dark has got his eyes set on that mineral line. It looks like eventually a bunch of Banes are slipping through the cracks. 20 probes go down just like that. The Nexus will not be far behind, and while the Colossus lives for a little bit longer, there's an Overseer. Sieged up, ready to snipe and provide that high ground vision. It's Dark who obtains what looks like a relatively easy game number 1. Next up, we find ourselves on Alcyone. Some uncharacteristic mistakes from Hero. Yeah. I mean, he got away with one of them. He got away with 2 mistakes. But then the third one, engaging deep onto Creep, it just simply wasn't a great play. Like, I don't really know what he was trying to achieve with that push in the first place. Unless he assumed that Dark was doing that push off of like 50-something workers, and he wasn't fully saturated on 3 bases initially, and already like halfway to like 4 base saturation when that Stalker push came. Maybe he assumed that that was much more committed from Dark than it ultimately was, but... I mean, to be fair, that was a bit of a weird opening by Dark, right? Like, we don't really see a lot of 66 drones, Roach Ravager, like Hydra type of attacks. Anyways, game number 2, we find ourselves on good old Alcyone, and apparently we're gonna use the gold base to our advantage. Right from the get-go, Dark is gonna try and see if he can get his opponent to enjoy this little bit of chaos. Good scouting here with the Overlord. What do you do right now? Oh, we're going Cannon Rush? Okay. Okay. Hero is ready to fight fire with fire. Now, this is technically a solved build. We don't really see this all too often anymore these days. But this Overlord positioning here from Dark is going to give him the heads up. Question is he going to react to this, right? So, Photon Cannons will be building. Pylon is 100 minerals. The Forge is 150 minerals. Any Photon Cannon is 150 minerals too. If Hero commits to like 2 Photons here, and he's kind of playing like Cannon Rush Chicken over here. Okay. If he commits to multiple Photon Cannons, Dark will be, okay, more than happy to just cancel. So this is already a bigger commitment here from Protoss. I mean, obviously he's going to get some value out of that Forge eventually. Than what Dark has really done. And Dark decides to just triple expend behind this. Okay. I don't think he saw that. No, Hero could easily get a kill on this base. The Zealot could be running on over in that direction too. Dark doing Dark things. Very cheeky. Very cheeky. Photon Cannon over here got cancelled, so at least the majority of the money was returned. He's trying to prevent that Photon Cannon from coming up in a location where he wouldn't be able to target it, and the drone's on the hunt here. They do manage to get the kill. And that means that Dark, once again, gets away with his shenanigans. I think he sent the drones back right now. There's no reason for them to hang around. With some decent micro, the Zerglings will easily win that fight. And that means that this pylon will likely also be a little bit behind. There's a good chance that the Zealot will go down and 2 pylons will end up going down too. Relatively small investment, but a very significant one for the momentum of the game. Any follow-up right now from Hero is going to be so delayed. He will probably still go Stargate. No. Okay. Yeah, he decides to mix it up. He needs to do something, but going Twilight Council right now gets his Zealots surrounded. Dark, this isn't Warcraft 3, man, but it still works. Queen in the main base? No queen yet. Yeah, you have to delay that. There she is. Now, lucky here for Hero, he's been able to produce a ton of drones in the process. Well, Protoss drones, that is. He's got a lot of probes. So at least worker-wise, he's not tremendously behind. But it's just the time of the game, right? So he's gonna continue the aggression. Now that Metabolic Boost, though, the Zergling speed upgrade is done, I think he should have gone home a little while ago. Pylon in the natural goes down. That pylon over at the gold base will also get targeted, I'm sure. Dark's gonna try and see if he can get the rep around. Don't think this is enough Zerglings, but... yeah, this pylon is dead, so why rush it? He really wants to get the Adept, and you know what? He may get his wishes. Nah, Adept should be able to shade. Just barely. Okay, so Hero's now turning this into effectively a Glaive Adept all-in. This is very much so the type of build that relies on hitting right when your opponent is most vulnerable. And while Hero has slowed down the Zerg player, I would imagine here that overall Protoss has been slowed down more than Zerg. Then again, though, this is a tricky one here for Dark. Like, when do you decide to give up on the droning, and when do you go back to making a whole load of Zerglings and, for example, Roaches instead? Do you go into detection here early? Because obviously, when behind Dark Shrine, it's still a very common answer for Protoss. Do you go into a third base here as Protoss? You could make a Spore Crawler. Spore Crawler would be good to countering any sort of flying unit. Oh my lord, no! Hero! Gets the Adept surrounded right before the Glaives upgrade finishes up. Even though he saved the majority of them and he was really quick there on the recall, just losing all those shields is painful. And just seeing this many Adepts is also really all the information Dark needs. Dark's waiting for the Roach Warren to finish up right now. He's sitting at 47 workers, which is maybe a little bit on the higher end of things. Dark Nexus on the back of this eventually, it looks like, from Hero, but that means he really is not gonna commit much to this attack. But I've also got a feeling if he doesn't commit to this attack that he's never gonna get any damage done. He will just fizzle out over the next 5 minutes. Dark going for Spore Crawlers. Those spores are just in case of DTs. Generally, DTs will hit maybe half a minute later than the Adepts do. So the fact that Hero is behind after Dark is blind countering a unit that doesn't exist is kind of rough for him. Still though, maybe if he can get some sort of damage done. He needs to get something done with these units. Because the longer that the match goes, the more likely it is that those Adepts are going to fall off. Now this is a wonderful engagement for Dark. Pretty much the best he's ever going to get with Zerglings. Ay, ay, ay. And Hero just got wiped off of the Zerg side of the map. I don't even mind Dark going for like a Queen March in this scenario. I know Queen Marching against this Twilight-based opener is a bad idea. But if he sends the Queens in right now and the Ravagers and just mass circling, honestly, I don't even know if he needs Queens. If he gets a Council on the third base, this game is pretty much over. Adepts over on the Watchtower. Yeah, this is one of those series so far where we don't really see like one major mistake. It's a combination of small errors accumulating over time. This is very committed though, by the way, from Dark. Dark only at 45 workers, so it's not like he's won the game just yet. Those sentries exposed in the front, too far away from the shield batteries. Beautiful surround here by Dark, sending his reinforcements in the perfect direction. Gets, I would say, the ideal fight. Doesn't get much better than this, and then ultimately, this Nexus is toast. I don't think Hero can play this as a 2-base all-in. I don't see what he could do. He decides to go into Blink right now, additional gateways. So he's saying, yo, I want to try and see if I can do one final attack. But this is looking like a very desperate game. Dark, by the way, is not going home. Usually Zergs from here will go home. Dark's still making links. So he's saying, yo, I don't think you have enough economy. Like, you've been in a pretty rough spot. Obviously, you didn't open Stargate, so you don't have any, like, say, like, oracles flying around or even the potential for, like, a Void Ray being produced right now. Instead, I'll go Roach Speed. I'll go Baneling Nest. I will try and see if I can shove you out of this game. No connection over here between that gateway and the Cybercore either, so another hole in the wall. +1 armor is never gonna finish. GG gets gold. Dark gets another point on the board. It feels like Hero is a little out of it in this series. Don't get me wrong, he's not playing bad, but he's making a couple of mistakes that top-level pro gamers like Dark will just punish you for immediately. Now, I do believe that it's important to note that pro gamers, believe it or not, are human. I know. They have just as much flesh and blood as you and me. At least I believe I'm a human. I think. Anyways, there's no Loco AI yet, okay? That's casting these games automatically. Although in the future we might get something like that, you know, where there's so many videos. I mean, I think I've uploaded like 4,000 videos or something on YouTube at this point. Something like that. It's been a long time. Anyways, maybe at some point somebody can create a perfect AI of Loco, and we don't even need me anymore. But until that point, I will be as human as these pro gamers. And that does mean that sometimes you do have a bit of an off day. This is, of course, the final series of a tournament, meaning that these players have been playing for hours already. It's not really something that it shouldn't really matter that much at this level, because these guys have been doing the same thing for many, many years. And it is something that's stamina, it is something you can train. But there is a chance, right, that you want to go to bed after this series. So you don't really want to drink any coffee, right? Or maybe you didn't sleep that great the day before. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're feeling a little bit sick. Maybe you didn't get your exercise done. Whatever it is, there are these little things that can throw you off. And honestly, at the highest level, with any competition, not just StarCraft obviously, but honestly anything, just being a few percentage points off here and there is very significant. That's actually what surprised me the most when Dark got his kid a couple, well, at this point, I guess it's like 9 months ago or so. But when Dark first became a dad, he was playing in literally everything and he was performing great. I know from personal experience, if I don't get at least like 7 hours of sleep, I get very cranky. My commentary is pretty garbage. I mean, more garbage than per usual. No, genuinely, I do feel like I do a lot better when I sleep like 8 to 9 hours or so. 9 hours is very rare, but there is certainly something to be said for day-to-day variance. And I've asked pro gamers actually in the past what they wish commentators would highlight more during a commentating, right? During a commentating session, right? So during a game. And that is day-to-day variance. For a lot of tournaments, especially the big offline ones, it all comes down to one weekend of performance. So like one weekend where you have to play perfectly. And if you're jet lagged, if you're, I don't know, like you're obviously in a hotel usually, right? When you're in an offline tournament, like if you're just a little bit off, it immediately messes everything up. You can practice for many months, but then have one, rough day. And everything can be thrown into the trash. So maybe some of that is going on here. 3 drones here with 2 adepts is really good though. Great beginning here for Hero. Third Nexus should be coming up soon. We're still producing adepts, which is a little curious. Keep an eye out on exactly when this third Nexus will actually be building. One drone, 2 drone, not bad. There's the third Nexus. So this Nexus is about 10 seconds late. It is something worth noting. He's been squeezing out a few additional adepts with that extra, money. 5 drones in total is certainly a good start. Curious to see, though, what the follow-up is going to be right now. We have a tiny little supply block there, but nothing all too crazy. Hero's gonna be able to fix that nice and quickly. Dark, by the way, still playing in so many tournaments, too. It's been rumored for, I want to say, about 2 years now, maybe 3 years even, that he's gonna have to do his mandatory military service soon. Yet here we are! All these years later, here we are! Still cruising along. Every time Dark doesn't sign up for a weekly, there's that rumor going around, you know? Every time there's one weekly event that he normally plays in, and for once he doesn't sign up, the StarCraft community just loses its mind a little bit. There's at least one guy out there who gets a little bit concerned. Could today be the day? Memes aside though, this is a fantastic early game here for Hero. 11 drones is excellent. I actually thought that Dark was gonna do his military service. Loses an Oracle. I thought he was gonna do it in February of last year. I had an interview at IEM Katowice with Dark in person, right? So he was sitting right next to me on the couch. I asked him about his performance and how well he was doing and stuff. And he literally said to me, Lowko, I got a letter in the mail this morning, and it says that I have to do my military service soon. He said that to me, like in person. It was right there on the broadcast. And here we are, nearly 2 years later. I don't know, man. Maybe very soon in Korea means something else. I don't know. Adepts. Okay, do not commit over here, but we do get a wraparound right over on this section. At this point, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of loophole. I know there's at least a little bit of that in Korean culture, I think, where a lot of people don't really talk about these sort of things that much, or at least the pro gamers are always a little hush-hush about it. Not exactly sure. There's never really like a very clear public statement about those sorts of things, you know? Very rarely do we have a pro gamer announcing their retirement or their return. It just kind of happens. They just kind of fade away, they kind of disappear, and then they suddenly return. Sometimes there might be a tweet or something, but there's never really that clear of an announcement, it seems. Sometimes they're like teams don't like renew their contracts or something along those lines, right? And it's pretty clear, okay, this is gonna be an opportunity for them, but it is curious. It is curious. Maybe one day it'll happen. But today is not that day. You know what? I hope it won't happen. Nice snipe right here on the OVs. It looks like Hero wants to commit to a big attack. He does have 4 oracles, by the way, so he went 5 oracles in total in this game. I am a fan of that. I think the mass oracle style is really fun. And he's gotten a good bit of damage done here in the earlier stages of this match, but he needs to be really careful. These are still +1 melee Zerglings, and if you have a bad engagement, they will tear apart Stalkers. Like, they will absolutely destroy them. Especially with Hydra right now, Dark is going full damage. It'll be Hydra Zergling to fight whatever hero is gonna have. These are the type of armies from Zerg that want the fight to last about 2-3 seconds in total, right? Like this is the type of army that just deals a ton of damage or either dies trying. So apparently that's the corner that Dark is cutting here. He doesn't even have a Roach Warren, so he's trying to stay alive, and there were certainly opportunities where Hero could have done something about it, but as Protoss you can never really know whether or not there's a Roach Warren, well, that's being cut, or whether or not it's hiding somewhere where you didn't pay attention to it, right? You never have perfect vision of the entire base. +2 melee, by the way, is a banger of an upgrade. But in the meantime, on the other side of the map, we do have Psionic Storm finishing up. So this is going to be Archon Zealot Stalker Storm versus Hydra Zergling. There is the potential as well for Banelings. But I'm pretty sure what Dark is aiming for is just a fight on creep. There's really no way he's gonna win an engagement off creep, but if he can take another fight like what we saw in the previous game, right, where he surrounds that entire army from as many angles as possible, and he gets the perfect fight, there is a chance he holds this, but it's gonna be a big one. Storms? Okay, Storm's his own Stalkers. Suboptimal. Obviously, Storm does deal friendly fire. Tried to get some of the Zerglings too, I suppose. I don't know if there's enough, man. I'm looking at this Protoss army. It's looking pretty weak. I don't think this is the whole Protoss army. That force field, actually, of stasis here is working out in favor of the Zerg player because it's slowing down his attack a ton. Those Zealots are actually really nice. I like the Zealots here a lot. A couple of Banelings, though, are waking up, and we are apparently sent the Zealots around the wrong way. Nice little donation here by Hero. Now the Archons are also overextended. They get an easy wraparound. Ay, Hero. Don't know why the Zealots decided to retreat that way while the rest of the army went that way. That was... I feel like there was more Protoss army somewhere, man. Like, there was not the entire... That did not seem like a 170-ish supply Protoss right there. Okay. Well, that makes this game a whole lot more playable for Dark. He's trying to see if he can sneak out a couple drones right now. Keep in mind that his economy has never been that great, and Hero has been building up his for quite a while. Fleet Beacon is coming up. Hive is already done. Adrenal Glands, which is that Zergling attack speed improvement, is researching. Same for the Lurker Den. Lurker Den is coming up very soon here for Dark. Keep in mind that in this version of the patch, if we do see some big Stargate units, Vipers will be much more likely. Oh. There she is. 300, 300, opposed to 400, 400. But also abductable. Oh. Big bada. Oh, okay. Fine, fine. Maruhu! Shouts Hero here as he's splitting Zealots against melee units. I like how he split the units off and then immediately sent them back to attack. Like... That would be me if I was a Zealot, you know? I'd be charging at a Baneling on accident. Ugh. It sucks, but... Carriers are coming. And whilst Hero has donated a couple too many units for my liking, he does have the Zerg believing that this is a full ground-based Protoss. And we have a Skytos transition well underway. That +1 upgrade is a little bit late. The gap in the wall, well, I mean, it's an obvious Hero move. Hero would rather make 17 stasis wards in the middle of the map than put a unit on hold position, because it means he can use the all-army hotkey. Dark's thinking about it, though. He realizes that this is usually a vulnerability in Hero's play. Hero really is somebody who, all jokes aside, does spend... Oh, is he gonna back off to one Lurker? Yo, get that Lurker an Academy Award, because he just faked an entire group of Protoss. Hero sees one little spine coming out of the ground and he decides to return back home. +1 air weapons gets the Knight. Still though, there's a lot of Protoss available and those storms are juicy. A lot of probes are going down, mostly inside of the main base. Obviously the Skytools transition at this point will be spotted as well. Mama, you need to activate cloaking. Mama! Okay, she doesn't do it. She doesn't do it. Mama! Just killed the Zerg! Okay, fine, I won't continue that. No, I was thinking about it, but then I decided to reconsider. Wouldn't want to do that to your precious ears. How are you ever gonna hit the like button if I... Do it. Yeah. Okay, thank you. How are you ever gonna do that if I would be singing the whole time, you know? Yeah, that'd be wrong. Zergling run-bys will continue, though. And even though there's nothing to put on hold position here anymore, there's also no wall. Hard to put something on hold position when there's no wall. A couple of Zealots will get warped in. Protoss decides to commit to a fight. And this is Dark just being incredibly obnoxious. Splitting off units left, right, and center. It is important here for Hero to reconstruct that wall. Reconstruct that wall. Oh my... Okay. Okay, Hero. Build that wall. Come on, Hero. Build. Okay, we don't really have a lot of money anymore. This was looking really good. Yeah, when you have to go for that one photon cannon inside of the natural mineral line, life does become a little bit desperate. This is now giving Dark a ton of time to prepare against what is essentially an all-in. Obviously, it's not quite yet, but maybe these banelings can make it such. Okay. Just a little bit of an explosion. Dark building a lot of spore crawlers at home. He's got transfuses for days. A lot of lurkers on the ground. Vipers are coming right now, by the way, so he can start fishing. Hero is splitting off the mama ship to do a little bit of fighting on its own. Maybe potentially like a recall towards the other side. And that is why she's left over here. To maybe give that Protoss army another opportunity. But ultimately, this is Dark buying a ton of time. And that's all he really needs. He's building up a ridiculous income advantage this way. And while these Ling Bane fights, they're by no means free, he's buying himself so much of an advantage. Every minute that goes by right now, his income is gonna go through the roof. And that's exactly what he is trying to do. He's trying to create a bit of a bank, max out. Try and see if he can force the Protoss to do something that they really would not want to do. And at this point, Hero, decides that it's time. We are gonna recall the entire Protoss army towards the other side of the map. Dark decides to give up this expansion, fair enough. Counterattacks with a bunch of Zerglings, doesn't achieve much over there. I'm assuming Hero knows about the base over here. He hasn't seen it. Oh my god, he actually believes that this is now 4 base Zerg in total when it was actually 5. Yoink on Mama. You can still do that in this patch. Yoink on her again. Yeah, back in the day, we used to think it was normal that you could abduct the mothership. I know. Such a long time ago. We rarely remember those days. This is still a good fight, though, for Hero. Keep in mind that those Immortals also hit about 10% harder. They're not really a great choice. Did he just all-army hotkey the observers in? Oh my god, hold up. There's an observer. No, 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 no. Hero, 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 hero. Hero, hero. Hero! Oh no. Oh no. This is his only source of the... Don't do F2, kids. Don't hit the all army hotkey, okay? They introduced this at some point in StarCraft 2. And the first hit is always free. But once you can't stop. You can't stop. I recommend not having it bound. Now, is there enough anti-air though for the Zerg to actually kill all of this? The Immortals and the Archons have come back home. The carriers in the main base are still going to town. The Lurkers have decided that they want to go in as well, and this is becoming a really tight game right now. If there is detection, this is an easy win for Hero in these fights, but he can't see the Lurkers. He's going Oracles. With their Revelation skill, he can still see them. He needs to micro that well, though. Oh, Oracle gets the Knight. Oh my god, we have one Oracle producing over here, but the Robo facility from earlier is already gone. Carriers decide to come back home. There's the Revelation. But I love this pre-split right here from Dark. He purposely split up those Lurkers really far away because he realized what the method of detection from the Protoss was going to be. In the meantime, that Archon Immortal army has made its way across the map once more. But the real problem here for Hero is that there is that base in the far bottom left that's been mining for a really long time, and it's a gigantic misread here for the Protoss player. He does not yet realize that this is a Zerg player who's still mining. There's only a single probe remaining. Probius himself. Where is he? There he is, mining gas. He's trying his best, but there's an entire mineral line that's being harvested in the far bottom left corner. Carriers, though, don't have a lot of backup anymore. Where did the Oracle go? Sorry, where did the Oracle go? Don't tell me we all army hotkeyed it. Look, I see all these pro games. I see many pro games. I watch a lot of StarCraft. I see the top level Zergs and Terrans using 4 or 5 hotkeys to control their armies. And then I see the highest ranked Protoss player in tournaments on the planet use no hotkeys. And it hurts me. It hurts me. It hurts me a lot. Like, I want Protoss to do well in tournaments. But there's no buff that you're gonna do if we're gonna just continuously mess up, man. These are some very significant blunders, and it's making this game very difficult for Hero. He still has the upper hand, though. There is no anti-air here for the Zerg player, but he hasn't been scouting. He hasn't seen that base in the bottom left, and he doesn't know about the fact that Zerg is mining over there, because otherwise that's where these carriers would be. Hero is making the assumption that Dark just had a large bank remaining, and he's gonna lose a lot of stuff at home. The Nexus recall ability is currently on cooldown. Nice split right there by Dark, mitigating the splash damage there off that Archon. Oh no. Two carriers are returning back home. Hero decides to, be a little bit indecisive and go one more across the map. He knows there's only 2 Hydras, so if he can stop it that way, life is gonna be okay. I feel like the biggest buff we can give Protoss is removing the all army hotkey. I'm only partially joking, but just removing that out of the game would probably buff Hero substantially. It's one of those things where, like, technically it can be really useful, and there's a lot of situations where I think it's great, but there's also a lot of spots where it just makes things a lot harder than they absolutely need to be. He can't see those lurkers right now. He cannot see those lurkers. Keep in mind that the win condition in a game of StarCraft 2 is destroying your opponent's structures. The gas geysers count, so these structures right over here are the absolute last ones for Hero, which is why he's patrolling the carriers to make sure that he can shut down those lurkers if they decide to unburrow. Hero finally has got the feeling that something is not quite right, and he decides after about 7 minutes to check the bottom left-hand corner, and he is, man, his heart is gonna sink. This game was in the bag. This game was practically unlosable. Oh, he's gonna try. He's gonna try. He needs to get that. Oh, he gets it on the high ground. He gets it on the high ground. Oh, my lord. He now found that base in the bottom left. But with the gateways and the final structures falling, even though the carriers can't be countered, it's Dark who obtains the victory. 3-0 over Hero. What a game. I honestly thought at multiple occasions that this was guaranteed to be a Protoss win because he was so far ahead. He was so far ahead. Ay, ay, ay. You never count Dark out, right? Like, Dark is such a dangerous player. A lot of pro gamers, a lot of professional Zergs would have already tapped out. But never Dark, man. Dark keeps fighting, and he knows that there are still opportunities to win. And I always feel like Dark plays like twice as good when he's behind. It's insane.